I've been here before. They bring people like us to talk about things we'd rather not say out loud. Today it's Pablo Escobar, the king of cocaine, the man who declared war on a country and almost won. They want us to pick apart his corpse, figure out where he went wrong. I'm guessing they picked us because we're supposed to see something of ourselves in him. Am I wrong?
I'm familiar with the format. And no, you're not wrong. Escobar built something extraordinary from nothing. Controlled 80% of the global cocaine trade at his peak. Billions of dollars. Private armies. Politicians in his pocket. The scale was unprecedented. The question is why a man with that much power ended up dead on a rooftop, shot by the same government he once owned.
Shot on a rooftop, running, hiding in a middle-class neighborhood while everything he built burned around him. That's not how emperors are supposed to die. That's how rats die, cornered and desperate. A man with his resources should have had a dozen exit plans. He didn't. You know why? Ego. He couldn't imagine a world where Pablo Escobar ran away, so he stayed until staying killed him.
Ego played a role, certainly. But I think you're oversimplifying. Escobar's downfall was multifactorial. The Cali cartel, Los Peeps, the DEA, the Colombian government. He was fighting a war on multiple fronts with diminishing resources. At a certain point, the mathematics simply didn't work anymore. It wasn't just ego. It was strategic overextension.
Multifactorial, strategic overextension. You talk like a Professor Walter. Do they teach drug dealing at universities now? Here's the simple version. Pablo got comfortable, started believing his own legend. When you become the story people tell, you forget that stories end. He built hospitals, ran for Congress, wanted to be loved. That's weakness dressed up in charity. The moment you need their love, they own a piece of you.
Needing to be loved is a weakness, I agree. But Escobar understood something fundamental about power. It needs legitimacy to sustain itself. The hospitals, the football fields, the public works, those weren't vanity projects. They were investments in loyalty. The people of Medellin protected him for years because he'd given them something the government never did.
Strategy that failed. The people of Medellin didn't save him when it mattered. They hid in their houses while search block kicked down doors. Loyalty bought with money disappears when the money stops, or when the bullets start. Pablo forgot that. He thought he was building a movement. He was just buying time. When the bill came due, he had nothing real. No family he hadn't endangered. No friends who weren't employees. Just a fat man on a rooftop.
You're being reductive. The structural pressures he faced were enormous. The United States was pouring resources into his destruction. The Cali cartel was funding his enemies. He was betrayed from within repeatedly. Even the most brilliant strategist can't account for every variable. Sometimes the forces against you are simply too large.
Brilliant strategist. Is that what you think he was? Let me tell you what I see. A man who started small, got rich, and couldn't stop. Couldn't walk away when he had enough. Couldn't take the money and disappear. Sound familiar? Because it should. I've read about you, Walter. Your story ended on a floor too. Bleeding out in a lab while the police sirens got closer. Different country, same ending. You're defending Pablo because you are Pablo.
I'm analyzing his situation objectively. My circumstances were different. I was dying. I had a limited time frame from the beginning. Escobar had decades and squandered them. I made calculated decisions based on available information. Some of them were suboptimal, yes, but I was operating under constraints he never faced. Comparing us directly is intellectually lazy.
Let's be intellectual then. Pablo killed a presidential candidate. You poisoned a child to manipulate a recovering addict. Pablo blew up a plane. You watched a woman choke to death and did nothing. Pablo needed people to fear him. You needed people to think you were clever. Both of you needed something so badly that you burned down everyone around you to get it. The only difference is Pablo was honest about being a monster. You still think you were the hero of your own story.
You don't know anything about what I faced. The decisions I made were necessary. My family was going to be left with nothing. I had a skill set that could solve that problem. I used it. The moral compromises were regrettable, but unavoidable. I was providing for my family after my death. Everything I did was for them.
I've heard that speech before. I've given that speech before. It's comfortable. Makes the blood wash off easier. But here's the thing, Walter. I've met your type. In Birmingham. In London. In every back room where men trade power and pretend it's principle. You didn't cook meth for your family. You cooked meth because it made you feel alive. The money was an excuse. The family was a shield. The real reason was the look in people's eyes when they realized who you were. You liked it. Pablo liked it too. So do I. The difference is I don't lie to myself about it.
You think you're better than us. You run a criminal empire built on violence and intimidation. You've killed people, betrayed people, used your own family as pawns. How is that different from anything Escobar did? From anything I did? You're standing in the same blood, Thomas. You just think your accent makes it cleaner.
I don't think I'm better. I know I'm smarter. I know when to stop, when to take the win and walk away, when to fold a hand instead of betting everything on one more card. Pablo couldn't stop. You couldn't stop. Both of you had moments where you could have disappeared with more money than you could spend. But you kept going, kept pushing, kept needing more. And now Pablo is a corpse.
I call it cowardice. You play it safe. Hedge your bets. Never risk everything because you're terrified of losing. Escobar built something that shook a nation. I built an empire that spanned continents. We swung for something greater than ourselves. You run a regional operation and call yourself a king. You want to talk about Pablo's downfall. His downfall was that he aimed too high and fell. Your tragedy is that you'll never aim high enough to matter. You'll die in Birmingham, old and forgotten, having never tested the limits of what you could have been. And that's worse than any rooftop.